Hello there, my name's Andy from Church Technology Explained. This video is all about streaming our church services to YouTube or Facebook online platforms without falling foul of copyright rules. So we're going to look at what content can we play, what content should be avoided, what copyright license do we need, and where do we get a license from. So if your YouTube dashboard looks like this is the video for you. So I need to start this video by stating that this is a guide and it's not legal advice. So before we get into licensing, which is actually quite straightforward, we need to consider, why does YouTube check for copyright infringements? Well, all music has copyright license, which ensures the royalties are paid to the artist when their song is publicly performed, whether that's music played and sung in your church with a live band, or a CD being played in church, or either of those scenarios being streamed. So historically, churches had copyright licenses for their sung worship, and most need one for CD playback as well. Well, you do need one if you're playing CDs, from the CCLI, which most of you are familiar with. But since COVID, many churches are streaming their services and running into difficulties when it comes to licensing their streamed content. So, because of copyright laws, when you stream to YouTube or other platform, they must check the content for any copyrighted material and issue a warning when it finds any. Now, there's three common scenarios in which YouTube will issue churches with a copyright warning notification. Your band is playing a song that YouTube recognises to be copyrighted. Maybe you're playing a track from a CD or Spotify, which YouTube recognises to be copyrighted. Or maybe you're playing content from YouTube back onto YouTube, which, yes, you've guessed it, is copyrighted. So basically, anything streamed to YouTube that's copyrighted will trigger a warning, with one possible exception, which I'll talk about at the end. So, how do we ensure we've got the necessary permission to stream a particular song? And how do we stop YouTube triggering a notification? Well, I'm going to talk about the second question first, that's YouTube's notifications. And the short answer is, we can't. YouTube's algorithms scan the stream for copyrighted material and alerts us to its presence always. Well, how do we play music legally? Let's go back to our three scenarios which trigger these alerts. Your band playing the song, you're playing a CD, or playing content from YouTube back onto YouTube. Well, to legally stream the music in scenarios 1 and 2, a license is available from CCLI. We're going to have a look at their website now. So this is CCLI's website, and they've got a section, this is their homepage, and they've got a section there talking about their licenses, what we provide, licenses for churches, and you can then select the one for streaming your services. Now, they actually offer two licenses. And I'm not going to go into all the detail and the ins and outs of it now, but they offer two licenses there. One that they call streaming, which just allows you to essentially have band performed songs that are then streamed. The Streaming Plus has the band performing songs permission included, but also allows you to play mastered recordings. Now, a mastered recording is one which has been produced in a recording studio. So that's a CD, or maybe one that's being played off Spotify or that kind of platform. So Apple Music, that sort of thing. And these licenses are needed in addition to your normal CCLI license. So that's for scenarios 1 and 2, for your band playing a live worship set, or CD playback or music that's been mastered, so pre-recorded. One or other of those licenses is needed for you to stream your content legally and ensure that royalties get paid to the artists involved. Frustratingly, there isn't an easy way, or there isn't a way as far as I'm aware, of informing YouTube and Facebook that you have a license. So the alerts still appear, but if there's any dispute, you're covered because you can prove that you've got a license. So that's scenarios 1 and 2. Copyright permission for playing YouTube content in your services, which is then streamed back to YouTube, is very much harder to obtain. There's no license that CCLI or any other similar organisation can offer for this. The only way you can play or stream YouTube content as part of your service is to obtain permission from the respective copyright holder. So that means contacting whoever holds the copyright for each and every piece of content in advance. And there's no way around this, unfortunately, at this stage. That's just the way it is, which is probably not what anyone wants to hear, because YouTube is a fantastic resource for Christian content. But unless you contact the individual artists or individual copyright holders, there's not a way that we can play that content legally. So we predict that YouTube will become some sort of subscription model, and that subscription will pay the royalties that are due. But as the current situation is, we have to gain permission. So let's recap. Band-led worship or playing worship from a CD can be licensed from CCLI. Streamed YouTube content can't easily be licensed. So finally, I talked about a category that YouTube might not pick up on, and that's what about teaching materials from a Christian conference or event, Spring Harvest or that kind of thing. So this is another situation where the copyright permission must be obtained from the copyright holder. Unless permission is already granted, and quite often it is. With Christian content, it's produced and it's designed to be shared in home groups or in congregational settings, and it expressly states that it can be used for those purposes. So that's our guide to staying on the legal side of copyright law. As I said at the start, it's a guide, it's not legal advice. Strongly suggest you look at the CCLI website, get in touch with them, and they're really, really helpful. There are further pages on the CCLI website. They refer to it as their streaming license manual, and that tells you in much more detail what you can do and what you can't do. So have a look there for the full information. I'm Andy from Church Technology Explained. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time.